There is a voice inside you, not a whisper, not a murmur, but a roaring truth that the world tried to quiet. It's the part of you that knows you're capable of more, born for more, destined for more. But life is relentless. It doesn't ask for your permission. It throws its weight against your dreams, tests your resolve, seduces you into mediocrity with comfort, excuses, and the illusion of tomorrow. But a winning attitude, that inner fire, is not inherited. It is forged, built, hammered into place through the daily discipline of refusing to be average. See, winning is not something you stumble into. It's something you decide. Something you carve into the fabric of your character like a sculptor, chiseling away at raw stone until greatness is revealed underneath. And the tool, the blade, the unbreakable edge that cuts through resistance, fear, and doubt is attitude. A winning attitude isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's not blind optimism. It's not fake smiles and Instagram quotes. A winning attitude is the audacity to rise when you've been broken. It's the steel spine of belief when no one claps for you. It's showing up when you're exhausted, moving forward, when the road is uphill, and doing what's right even when it's invisible to the world. It begins in the mind. Mindset is not a luxury. It's your foundation. Your attitude towards the day decides whether the hours become bricks or burdens, whether you build something or break under pressure. Your mind will either be your prison or your power plant. It will grow weeds or grow wealth. And the deciding factor is not talent, it's intention. Every morning you wake up, you're handed a blank check from life. What you write on it is up to you. Some cash it in with purpose, some tear it up with doubt. You must learn to speak life into your day before the world speaks death into your dreams. The first habit of a winning attitude is simple to say, rare to master. Guard yourself. Talk like your life depends on it, because it does. Words are seeds and your mind is fertile soil. What you say to yourself, about yourself, when no one is watching, that is the script that plays in the theater of your destiny. Losers rehearse pain. Winners rehearse power. The average person talks themselves out of greatness 10 times before breakfast. But the winner, the real winner, speaks victory into existence. They say, I don't care how I feel. I decide who I am. They say, I may not be there yet, but I'm on the path. I'm in the fight. They understand that the world does not respond to what you wish for. It responds to what you believe you're worthy of. But belief is not magic. Belief is built. The second habit of a winning attitude is this: earn your confidence through promises kept to yourself. Most people don't lack ability, they lack self-respect. Every time you say you'll do something and you don't, a piece of you dies. Your word becomes worthless in your own eyes. But every promise kept is a brick in the fortress of identity. When you say, I'll do it, and you actually do, especially when it's hard, you become unstoppable. Not because it gets easier, but because you no longer negotiate with your weakness. It's easy to dream when you're comfortable. It's easy to talk when there's no sacrifice. But a winning attitude is built in the trenches, built on early mornings when no one sees, built on pushing the plate away, lifting the weight, making the call, writing the page, showing up when no one would blame you for staying down. The third habit is clarity of vision. You can't win a race you haven't defined. And too many people wander through life like it's a waiting room, waiting for permission, waiting for the right moment, waiting to feel ready. But you will die waiting. The winner doesn't wait. They don't need all the answers. They just need the direction and the decision. They write down the vision. They stare at it daily. They craft it in detail. Not vague hopes, but vivid clarity. Because what you focus on, you move toward. What you stare at long enough, you become. Clarity creates momentum. And momentum is more powerful than motivation. Once you know what you want, you don't wait to feel like it. You act like it. You move with purpose. You eliminate distraction. You stop negotiating with mediocrity. You stop chasing people who don't believe in the fire burning inside you. The fourth habit is obsession with growth. Not perfection, not comparison, growth. See, winners don't just do what works. They become obsessed with what could be better. They study themselves like a craftsman studies his tools. They break down their days, their actions, their thoughts. They reflect. They adjust. They outgrow. You can't take the same mind into the next level of your life. The attitude that gets you started will not be enough to keep you climbing. You will need more awareness, more humility, more hunger. You will need to admit that what got you here won't get you there. You must become addicted to progress, to the feeling of sharpening yourself. Winners don't fear being wrong, they fear staying wrong. They don't protect ego, they destroy it in the fire of truth. Every day is a test, every moment is feedback, every mistake is a message, and the winning attitude reads that message loud and clear. I must evolve, or I will evaporate. The fifth habit is choosing pain with purpose over pleasure with regret. The world tells you to chase ease, to follow your feelings, to do what's comfortable. That's why most people never become what they were meant to be, because they choose the easy wrong over the difficult right. But winners, they are different. They don't avoid pain. They select it. They schedule it. They use it. Pain is the entry fee to all strength. And the truth is, you're going to suffer either way, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. But only one of them sharpens you. Only one of them adds value to your character. The other steals years from your life. You can train when you don't feel like it or break down because you didn't. You can study when it's boring or pay the price for being unprepared. You can have hard conversations now or drown in silent resentment later. The difference between winners and losers isn't luck. It's what pain they're willing to face and for what outcome. You must become dangerous not to others, but to your own excuses, lethal to your procrastination, a threat to your laziness. And that kind of fire comes from the sixth habit, living with purpose, not preference. Most people live emotionally. They do what they feel like doing. They're slaves to their moods, victims of their environment, hostages of convenience. But winners live by standards. They are not ruled by how they feel. They are ruled by who they decided to become. They've defined their purpose so clearly, so powerfully, that it overrides excuses, distractions, and comfort. Purpose makes pain irrelevant. Purpose gives suffering meaning. Purpose is the jet fuel for resilience. And purpose isn't found. It's forged. In silence. In solitude. In seasons where no one claps and everything feels uphill. You sit with yourself and you ask, what am I really building? Who am I doing this for? What does my life say about what I value? Because if your life doesn't align with your answers, you don't have purpose. You have poetry. And poetry won't save you when life breaks your back and demands to know what you're made of. You need vision. You need values. You need a WHY so deep it silences every excuse before it escapes your lips. And from that purpose flows the seventh habit, discipline without negotiation. Discipline is the bridge between potential and power, between who you are and who you could be. But let's be honest, discipline is not sexy, it's not glamorous, it's repetition, it's the grind, it's doing it again and again when the novelty wears off, when no one is clapping. When the results are still invisible, it's boring to the world but beautiful to the winners. Winners don't ask, do I feel like it? They say, this is who I am. Discipline is identity in motion. It's self-respect in action. It's the armor against mediocrity. And the truth is, success doesn't go to the smartest, it goes to the most consistent. Not the person who can give 100% once, but the one who gives 85% every damn day. You train your attitude like you train a muscle. You don't skip reps just because the gym is empty. You don't break your diet just because no one is watching. You don't abandon your goals because you're tired. You execute. You rise. You honor the standard you set, not because it's easy, but because it's required. Because once you understand what's required, everything else becomes irrelevant. Not how you feel, not what the crowd thinks, not what's trending, what's required. That is the standard. And the eighth habit, the one that keeps this fire from burning out, is this: radical responsibility. Winners don't point fingers. They point thumbs. They don't say, why is this happening to me? They say, what am I going to do about it? They don't blame the system, the timing, the boss, the parents, the weather, the government, because blaming robs you of power, and a winning attitude is allergic to powerlessness. You will never rise above the level of responsibility you're willing to accept. If life is a fight, then excuses are handcuffs. And most people are locked in a cage of their own creation because it's easier to blame than to build. But the truth is, the moment you decide that everything is your fault is the moment you set yourself free. It doesn't mean you caused everything, but it means you claim the power to change anything. You can't control the storm, but you can control your sail. You can't control how others treat you, but you can control how you respond. You can't control your past, but you can choose what it means. Responsibility is the birthplace of freedom. It is not a burden, it is a blessing. It is not weight on your shoulders, it is wings on your back. The ninth habit that fuels a winning attitude is this: relentless gratitude for the grind, not just gratitude for blessings. That's easy. Anybody can be grateful when the sun is shining and the numbers look good. No, I'm talking about warrior gratitude. The kind that says, thank you for the pain. Thank you for the struggle. Thank you for the failure. Thank you for every late night, every rejection, every detour that forced me to evolve. Because when you truly understand the game, you stop resenting the process and start respecting it. Gratitude reframes everything. The struggle doesn't break you, it builds you. The obstacle doesn't block the path, it is the path. The delay isn't punishment, it's preparation. You stop asking, why me? And start saying, try me. Because the struggle is where the story gets written. The hardship is where the muscles get built. The pain is where the poetry gets power. You become grateful, not just for what you gain, but for who you become. And this is what unlocks the final habit. The 10th and final trait of a winning attitude: aggressive adaptation. Because here's the truth. Life doesn't care how prepared you were. It will still hit you sideways. It will still shift the rules. It will still test your flexibility. And if you're rigid, you will snap. If you're stuck in your ways, you will be left behind. Winners adapt like water. They move around, over, through. They bend without breaking. They pivot without losing the vision. They evolve. They iterate. They transform. Because they understand it's not the strongest that survives. It's the one most willing to change. A winning attitude is never stagnant. It's fluid. It flows. It listens. It learns. It recalibrates. You get knocked down? Good, now get up differently. Your plan didn't work? Fine now, make a better one. The world changed? Perfect, so will you. There is no scenario that breaks you, only scenarios that build new versions of you. Because that's what this is really about. Not just success, not just winning, but transformation. Becoming the kind of person who no longer negotiates with fear, who doesn't shrink to fit comfort, who doesn't apologize for their drive, who walks into rooms and doesn't need to explain why they belong there. It's about becoming the version of yourself that doesn't flinch when tested, that doesn't fold under pressure, that doesn't need to be pushed, because they pull themselves with vision, with fire, with relentless hunger. It's about building a life that screams excellence, not because you had it easy, but because you were willing to do what most won't. And it all starts with your attitude. So rise. Speak power into your life. Keep your promises to yourself. Write the vision. Chase the growth. Choose meaningful pain. Live by purpose. Discipline your mind. Own your reality. Thank the storm. Adapt with joy. And when the world looks at you, let them see a human forged in fire. Let them see what it looks like to win from the inside out. Let them see someone who didn't just hope, they decided. Let them see you and remember who they were born to become. Because that's what your attitude does. It doesn't just change your world, it radiates. It pulls others into orbit. It commands respect, not through noise, but through presence. You walk into a room differently when your soul is aligned with your standards. You look people in the eyes differently when you've earned your own respect in the dark. You don't have to shout when your life speaks for you. And let's be clear, there will be days when the fire is low, days when doubt creeps in like a fog, days when the mirror reflects fear instead of faith. But this is when the real ones are revealed. Because a winning attitude isn't about feeling like a champion. It's about acting like one, especially when you don't. You fight through the fog. You move through the mess. You take one more step, even if it's on bruised feet and borrowed strength. Because it's not the big wins that define you, it's the small choices when no one's watching. The moment you could quit and no one would blame you, but you don't. The moment you could let up, but you lean in. That's when greatness is born. And here's what most people miss. Your attitude isn't a tool for success. It is success. Because the house doesn't build itself. The dream doesn't manifest on its own. It all comes down to the bricklayer. The one laying down discipline after discipline, belief after belief, morning after morning with zero applause. So lay the brick. Lay it when you're tired. Lay it when you're discouraged. Lay it when no one believes. Because one day, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, you'll look up and realize you're standing inside something that others only talk about. You'll realize that the fortress wasn't luck. It wasn't talent. It wasn't handed down. It was earned. It was built. It was bled for. With sweat, with standards, with sacrifice. And it started with the decision to show up with a winning attitude not once, but daily. Even when it was inconvenient. Especially when it was inconvenient. Because here's the final truth. Life responds to energy. It bends to posture. It opens to those who demand more by becoming more. It rises to meet those who have already decided to rise. So the question is not, will you win? The question is, who are you becoming? Are you the type to crumble or the type to create? Do you fold under pressure or forge yourself in it? Do you complain about the mountain or conquer it? You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need permission. You don't need another guru or gimmick. You need you fully engaged, fully committed, fully locked in with the mindset of a warrior, the clarity of a leader, and the discipline of a champion. Because when the world sees that version of you, they'll call it inspiration. But you'll know the truth. It wasn't luck. It wasn't magic. It was your attitude sharpened, shaped, and strengthened every single day. You will become a monument to the quiet war, the inner war, the one nobody saw but you fought anyway, the battle between who you were and who you were destined to be. And every time you chose discipline over comfort, every time you chose responsibility over excuses, every time you stood up, even while shaking, you carved that destiny deeper into your bones. This isn't about hype. This isn't about some sugar-coated version of motivation. This is about self-respect. This is about becoming the kind of person you would follow into fire. The kind of person whose life screams, I paid the price. I did the work. I didn't just want it. I earned it. And that changes everything. You walk differently when you know what you've conquered. You speak differently when your words are backed by experience. You show up differently when your confidence comes from scars, not just affirmations. That's the kind of attitude that can't be faked, can't be borrowed, can't be sold. It's forged in silence, in struggle, in the tension between who you are and who you refuse to remain. And when you carry that kind of energy, the world notices. Not always with applause, sometimes with fear, sometimes with jealousy, but always with respect. Because real recognizes real. Fire respects fire. You don't need to convince people when your presence makes the case. You don't need to prove anything when your consistency speaks louder than their doubt. You don't need to shout over the noise when your work is echoing in rooms you haven't even entered yet. And that's what you must remember. Your winning attitude is planting seeds today that will bloom in places your feet haven't touched yet. Opportunities are watching. Destiny is waiting. And fate is taking notes not on your feelings, but on your faithfulness. So show up again, again, and again. Not because it's easy, but because you're no longer available for anything less than excellence. Because the life you want will not yield to hesitation. It will not bend for indecision. It will not unlock its doors for those who knock softly. It opens for the relentless, for the resolved, for the person who wakes up with fire in their belly and refuses to leave this earth average. So if there's a voice in you that's whispering, "You're made for more," believe it. If there's a stirring in your gut that says, "This can't be all there is," chase it. If your soul is aching to build something bigger than survival, something greater than existence, honor it. Because that's not delusion, that's destiny knocking. And your attitude is the key. The way you think, speak, act, believe, persist it, is either building the ladder to your next level or the cage to your current one. So ask yourself, what am I allowing? What am I tolerating? What am I becoming through my choices? Because every attitude you feed becomes a habit. Every habit becomes your nature, and your nature becomes your future. This isn't about a morning routine or a motivational quote. This is about becoming unshakable, a force, a fire, a soul that can't be silenced by fear, failure, or fatigue. This is about waking up and saying with your actions, not just your words, "I'm here to win." And win. Not because you're better than anyone else, but because you're better than who you were yesterday. Because you didn't settle. You didn't sell out. You didn't stay down. You rose. Again, with resolve in your eyes, thunder in your chest, and purpose in every breath. Because you decided once and for all that losing was no longer on the table. And that is what a winning attitude is. It's not what you have. It's who you are. Because something deep within you is still stirring, still rising, still reaching for that next breath, that next level, that next revelation of who you're meant to become. And you don't silence that voice, you answer it with movement, with mastery, with meaning. See, most people live their entire lives asking life for permission. You are here to command it. You don't need a lucky break. You need an unbreakable spirit. You don't need motivation that fades by noon. You need conviction that burns at midnight. You don't need someone to hand you a map. You need to become the one who draws it with blood, with belief, with the kind of attitude that makes average impossible. This is your time, not later, not someday, not when things line up. Now, because the truth is, you don't get what you want in life. You get what you are willing to become. And becoming starts today. So rise with intensity, walk with fire, think with clarity, speak with authority, love with depth, move with discipline, adapt with courage, execute without compromise. Let the world adjust to your standard. Let the noise fade behind your focus. Let your life be a living declaration that you chose to become the rare kind, the relentless kind, the powerful kind. The kind of person who didn't just chase success, they embodied it. Because in the end, the goal was never just to win. It was to become undeniable. And that begins and ends with the attitude you carry through every second, every season, every storm. So don't ask if you're ready. Decide that you are. Then move. And never look back. Because looking back is for the ones who doubt, for the ones who hesitate, for the ones still entertaining the idea that maybe they weren't built for this. But you are past that now. You've buried that version of you in the ashes of your former limitations. And from those ashes you rise, not as a version of who you once were, but as the architect of who you decided to become. There is no more time to waste. No more energy to spend on what could have been. There is only now. And the decision you make in this moment changes everything. Right now, you are standing on the edge of two lives, one defined by compromise, one ignited by conviction. The only bridge between the two is your attitude. And so you shift. You raise your chin. You set your jaw. You burn the excuses. You cancel the apology tour. And you walk not as a victim of life, but as a force within it. Because you were never here just to exist. You were here to dominate your fears, to rewrite your story, to elevate your bloodline, to shock the world with the sheer velocity of your rise. And when they ask, what changed? You won't need to explain. They'll see it in your eyes, in your tone, in the way you carry yourself with quiet power, with absolute certainty, with the kind of energy that says, I didn't wait to be chosen. I chose myself. I didn't wait to be saved. I saved myself. I didn't wait for the timing. I became the timing. And I didn't wait for a miracle. I became one. This is the level, the one where nothing is accidental, where your actions scream louder than intentions, where the grind is no longer about goals, it's about identity. You don't work hard to get something, you work hard because it's who you are, because you refuse to be the kind of person who sleeps on potential, wastes, gifts, or plays small in a universe designed for expansion. You refuse to let your life be a cautionary tale. So from this moment forward, every move you make is sacred. Every step is a statement. Every choice is a carving into the stone of legacy. Because in the end, your winning attitude isn't just for success. It's for significance. It's not just about rising. It's about lifting others with the example of your resilience. It's about becoming the evidence for someone else that greatness is possible, that transformation is real. That strength isn't something you're born with. It's something you build day by day, through battle, through belief, through a relentless refusal to back down. So carry this fire, guard it, feed it, protect it from mediocrity, like your future depends on it, because it does. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be legendary. You are not here to chase. You are here to create. You are not here to wish. You are here to work. So rise. And never let the world convince you otherwise. Because the most dangerous person in any room is the one with a clear mind, an open heart, and an unshakable winning attitude. And when that kind of person walks into the room, something shifts. The air tightens. The silence stretches. People feel it before they even understand it. Because greatness doesn't need a name tag, it leaves an imprint. It carves its presence into the moment without raising its voice. That's what your attitude becomes. Not noise, but weight. Not volume, but gravity. And while others still doubt themselves, still wait for signs, still search for some outside validation, you're already in motion, already creating, already commanding your space, not with arrogance, but with absolute inner alignment. That alignment, that integration of thought, action, and belief is rare. It's what separates winners from wishers, builders from beggars, leaders from followers. Because when your attitude is right, you don't chase opportunities. You attract them. You don't need to plead for recognition. Your work is already echoing in the halls where decisions are made. You walk with such conviction, the universe itself moves to accommodate your path. And yet, this path is not for the faint-hearted. It demands that you sacrifice the need for comfort in exchange for the fire of progress. It demands you give up popularity for purpose. It demands you let go of who you were taught to be so you can become who you chose to be. This is the price, and it is worth it. Because the moment you trade external approval for internal excellence, you become free. Free from the opinions of the small-minded. Free from the chains of the past. Free from the weight of who you used to be. Now you walk in authority, not over others, but over yourself. That's power. That's real freedom. To wake up and know that no matter what comes today, you have the mindset to meet it, the resilience to rise through it, the clarity to outlast it, and the drive to win in spite of it. That is the gift of a winning attitude. It makes the chaos irrelevant. It makes the setbacks fuel. It makes the grind sacred. And when others look for ways out, you look for ways in. When others stall at discomfort, you lean into it. When others crack under pressure, you sharpen under it. Because you don't fear the fire anymore. You are the fire. So burn through the noise. Burn through the fear. Burn through the old stories that told you to sit down, be quiet, play safe. You are done with all of that. Now you are the one others look to when the storm hits. You are the one who stands still while everything else shakes. You are the one who makes progress when others are making excuses. And every time you take another step, another rep, another call, another leap, you are leaving behind proof. Proof that power is not something you're born with, it's something you earn. Through intention, through repetition, through an attitude that refuses to accept anything less than greatness. You were never meant to blend in. You were never meant to shrink to fit. You were never meant to tiptoe through life, hoping you don't break something. You were meant to leave a mark. You were meant to walk through walls that others call permanent. You were meant to carry the kind of energy that speaks louder than credentials, louder than appearance, louder than background. And now, with every fiber of your being, you declare, I am no longer available for average. I am done negotiating with fear. I am done watering down my dreams to fit the comfort zones of others. I am done dimming my light to protect their insecurity. From this moment forward, I live lit. I live loud. I live with a posture of purpose, a mindset of mastery, and an attitude so electric the world can't help but take notice. Because this is what a winning attitude looks like. It is not loud. It is not desperate. It is decided. It is a quiet thunder, a calm storm, a relentless force disguised as daily habits. And now that you've tasted it, you'll never go back. Because once you see what's possible through belief, through discipline, through fire, you'll never again settle for what's probable. You were born to rise. So rise. Because what you've just ignited within your mind, within your heart, within your spirit is not a temporary motivation. It is not a spark to be admired. It is a wildfire to be fed daily, relentlessly, with your actions, with your standards, with your attitude. And from this moment on, you don't just live, you lead, you build, you become. Because this is not the finale. This is the beginning of the real you. Now go and win.